Told that the I Have a Dream speech, and somebody please correct me if I'm wrong. Don't have me on YouTube saying anything wrong. This is alleged information. Allegedly, the I Have a Dream speech was drafted by somebody out of that small hat group. And in that I Have a Dream speech, it says, I have a dream that little black boys and little black girls are holding hands. That wasn't what civil rights was about. You see the redirection of meaning? The civil rights movement was not about us being friends with our oppressor. It was about us getting economic justice. Hate me all day. Please do. Call me the N-word. Just give me my money. Dr. King figured it out when he said cut the check, but then he was unalived. My alarm went off. Y'all hold on one second. My podcast alarm went off. But I hate it happened then. But I'm trying to. Hopefully, I'm not being too nebulous. I'm trying to portray a specific angle of attack, and it's a reason why I'm doing it. You change the meaning of the Statue of Liberty, which was meant to honor black women and say, "Hey, we did wrong with having slaves. Let's move past that. Let's heal." That gets redirected and pivoted towards immigrants. You have a civil rights movement that's saying, hey, we've done wrong. We want our fair share. And the whole meaning of the civil rights movement gets psychologically flipped into saying, no. This is not about money. This is about us loving you. Tina Turner said, what the fuck love got to do with it? Why is this important right now? We are in a delineation movement. And that train is running full speed. It's not going to be stopped. Like I've said in many spaces before, I'm concerned, Black Americans, that the same group is going to try to find a way to redirect our energy towards something else. What are your thoughts, Kush? Uh-oh, can y'all hear me?
I'm here, Professor.
Oh, okay.
I'm here. My screen was black. But yeah, when you mentioned the intent of a lot of our civil rights struggles, if you look at our ethnic group of people, we're the only ethnic group here who has truly fought and led from the front in this fight for civil rights. Every other group here in this country has benefited by extension. When you think about the Edmund Pettus Bridge, for instance, nobody thinks about rainbow flags. Nobody thinks about white women. When you think about people being, attacked by dugs and water hoses and things like that, you don't think about the GLB plus community or white disabled individuals or whatever. Those people don't come to mind. Those images that are seared into people's mind and memory are not about these other groups of people, but they got to benefit by extension nonetheless. So one thing that I thought was interesting when we talk about changing the narrative and what the story was, I thought it was very interesting, these monks, for instance, that were taking all these pictures and they were showing that they were going to walk across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and they're marching through Selma, with their togos and their open-toed cloth wrap shoes and whatever they're doing. And I thought it was interesting that in Alabama, no less, these monks got police escort as they march through Alabama. Symbolism. Purely symbolism. These monks are not marching through the deep South because monks have been oppressed in the United States, because they're fighting for monk civil rights in the United States. This is symbolism. Purely symbolism. But they got a police escort. When our ancestors were marching in Selma, really fighting, marching for civil rights, they didn't get a police escort. They got police dogs sicked on them. They got fire hoses, full blast, turned on them. So the narrative, the same thing is happening. It's just looking different in the 21st century. And again, these are things that we've already done. And I always find it interesting when we talk about like the civil rights movement and the intent, the original purpose behind that was about sanitation workers in the South. Again, not receiving what should be equal protections, compensations under the law. This was about
economic.
equality.
You're right.
Yes, this was again about money, about equal, because again, this is about our civil rights going as far back as the 1860s, not the 1960s, the 1860s. We have codified into law that we are supposed to have equal rights, protections, and punishments. All of it's supposed to be equal. And that's what that was all about. It was about economics, equality, and to some extent, yes, equity if equity was necessary, but because nobody really made sure to split the hairs and understand the two words don't mean the same thing, people just focused on equality. But whatever. According to the law, that's what we're supposed to have. And slowly but surely, it turned into a hippie fest. The March on Washington turned into a hippie fest. Grab some picket signs at the picket line. We'll all sit around the wading pool and we'll put our feet in the water. We'll hold hands and we'll sway side to side and sing "This Land Is Your Land," from California to the Rebel Forest, whatever. And we still walked away. And by we, our ethnic group still walked away, not receiving the equal protections that we were supposed to have economically. Whatever happened to the sanitation workers? Does anybody have a line on what happened to the sanitation workers?
Oh yeah, I do. When I moved to Memphis, a couple years after I moved to Memphis, it was 2014. I worked for the mayor's office in a mentoring program, Mayor A.C. Warden, and one of my the young men we were mentoring, his daddy was a sanitation worker, and in 2014, he said they never got the rights that they were supposed to get. In 2014, he said his dad didn't have health insurance and allegedly didn't have health insurance, so they didn't get their benefits. Dr. King was killed to fight for them, and look up the "I Am a Man" movement. Yeah, and they never got them because, like Kush alluded and Wani initiated, the energy was redirected from economics into some bullshit. Black rights turns into LGBTQ rights. Black rights turns into rights for women, which doesn't mean black women. It always meant white women. Look at the 20th Amendment. The 20th Amendment, fact check me on this, never applied to any other type of woman other than white women. Indian women were excluded. Black women, of course, were excluded. Asian women were excluded. So we're looking at some intellectual jujitsu. And the reason why we're bringing this up is we're on the precipice of getting reparations. I think Wani told me earlier that San Francisco has, you said the bill passed, right?
Yeah, they approved reparations. They just need to fund it.
Yep. California is the Ninth Circuit, Judicial Circuit. And that means the Ninth Circuit is the largest judicial circuit in the country. They've been trying to break it up forever. And there's a saying, so goeth California, goes the country. California has made a decision. It's only a matter of time for we get reparations. And what I want to know, ladies and gentlemen, is how are they going to try to divert our money somewhere else?
Now, we can see all of the images that we put up. Let me go over some of this real quick. So back in the day, this Methodist minister, James Van Kirk, created the World Peace Flag of Earth. And it had a rainbow on it, right? Mm-hmm. Then later, this other man designed, his name was Gerald Holtham, he designed a peace sign. And that was a powerful image. So, Black Americans were waving a rainbow coalition flag. And that wasn't like the rainbow. It was kind of like the colors of man type thing. And they wore pride buttons and chanted, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. And they said a lot of things that later got co-opted. So the way it got co-opted, the next year, we were saying, say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. The next year, the Pride Parade. Why do you have to use that word? Say it loud, I'm Black and I'm proud. Black power. And we're using this word. And now all of a sudden, these LGBTQ people need to say Pride Parade. They centered the whole thing around the pride, word pride, the rainbow symbol. Why? Because we were doing it. Okay? And they shifted momentum away from racism to sexual identities. And that's what they did. They tried to equate them not being able to do sex things all over the place with us not being able to breathe because we were Black.
Wow.
That's insulting right there. We are Black. That's the way human beings are born. Some pit bulls are red, some pit bulls are white, some pit bulls are brown. We don't need to apologize for anything, but what they're doing is trying to equate them not being able to be sexual deviants. That's what they tried to equate to us, wanting to exist as human beings. And they stole every word of it. They stole the symbols we were using and the words we were saying right out of our mouths.
Wow. This 14th Amendment issue is going to be very critical at the Supreme Court, because the 14th Amendment is deemed to be exclusively for Black Americans. I think in a slippery slope, that's going to relate to us having exclusivity. And we need to be scrambling right now. I know our brother Arthur is doing a lot of work with this. Shout out to Arthur. But we need to be scrambling to get some type of exclusive status lineage-wise in the United States. Because what's going to piss me the fuck off is if and when, and I'm not if now, when reparations is passed and the money starts flowing, non-melanated groups start claiming to be Black or claiming to be African American based off some distant ancestor. We need to be working double time to get our own ethnic category.
Professor, I just wanted to tap in here right quick when we talk about the civil rights movement and how our delineating is more crucial now more than ever. Because when we think about that march on Washington and who were some of the key figures, A. Philip Randolph, Bayard Rustin, Dr. Martin Luther King, and again, at the time, Dr. Martin Luther King, I'll say it this way, was kind of new in the game. Before Dr. Martin Luther King, you had Reverend Adam Clayton Powell. And so, again,
that's who I was trying to talk about earlier, Wani. Adam Clayton Powell. Yeah, there it is.
Yes. And something that you always say, Professor, about, people being handpicked and things like that. When you hear the name Bayard Rustin, A. Philip Randolph, he and W.E.B. Du Bois, they clashed on, A. Philip Randolph was more of the, let's go about this the nonviolent way. There needs to be action. There needs to be right now. A. Philip Randolph was more for socialism, felt capitalism was not to our benefit, whatever. W.E.B. Du Bois disagreed. And so, again, when we think about these different groups and their roots and the groups that these people are associated with, in some ways, we still see the same place today with the people that are the attempts to prop certain people up to be, see my air quotes, the leaders of the reparations movement. We can see people that appear to be behind socialism that are against capitalism, people that are not really advocating for us to get tangibles like money. We need land, we need a hug, we need education, things like that. And then you have other people like, no, we definitely need that cash, we need that guap, we need that Skrilla, that cheese, that dough, whatever you want to call it, we gonna need that. Whatever it look like, we gonna need it. So I think that delineation, people always say if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it. So kind of identifying people that kind of fit in those molds, if you will, because some things really, if you look at it, does end up being just a repeat of history. And the other thing that I was going to say regarding our ethnicity and things like that, and I was thinking about this, when people say, these other groups of people will say, well, we're Black American the same as you, or I'm a Black Brit, or I'm a Black this, or I'm a Black that. One thing we got to keep in mind about the term Black, and people always ask this question, how come these people, these foreigners from Africa and the Caribbean, were so adamant that they're not Black, that in their countries, that's a foreign concept to them? The reason why it's a foreign concept to them, and this really just clicked in my head sometime over the weekend, the reason why it's a foreign concept is because Walter Plecker was not an Arab.
Black students, we need to know our history.
The Black history we're being taught in public schools is repetitive.
As a Black high school student, I want to learn more about my history in the school books.
We need to update our books.
As Black American students, we deserve an accurate depiction of what Black history truly is.
I want to see myself in these textbooks.
In the public school system, Black history is vague.
Why don't the school books ever talk about the Freedmen's Bureau? I created the workbook for the African American family. This book helps fill in the gaps that the school books don't. Purchase the workbook for the African American family on ourstorypublications.com and use the Cash App, $, Our Story Publications.